I made a decision at a young age that what I wanted to do was to try to make a difference rather than organize a business or make money or other kinds of things. I realized I was good with people. I realized I was able to create and shape things. I was able to, succeed in what I wanted to do. A lot of my career, when I look back over the past 40 years or so that I've been involved in working with communities and trying to look at social justice, is really the issue of trying to build up people, to get people to believe in themselves, for people to believe in their potential and what's possible and what can be, rather than looking back. A lot of these issues really start off with a sense of, I need to first believe in myself, in my own ability to make changes. And as an example, most of the leaders I have developed are women, and most of them are all leaders in their families, and they're leaders in their churches, in their synagogues, but frequently they're not given an opportunity to lead in a larger sense and in the community, so they basically don't have the sense that they could really motivate and lead other people. Part of leadership initially starts with believing in themselves. It starts inward, and then you create opportunities for people to succeed, opportunities for them to work in a group and lead the group, opportunities for them to mobilize their friends, their neighbors, and their community. One of the most important things in any society or any organization or any business is really the development of leadership. And it's really the single criteria that will determine success. Without leadership, it's very difficult for organizations or even individuals or families to really succeed. And there's a difference between leadership and management. Management talks about how do you manage people and resources rather than how do you motivate, how do you bring together, how do you look at what can be rather than what is. And I had an incredible opportunity in the early 1990s when the Kellogg Foundation selected 50 people from 40 countries, and we dissected leadership into its different components in terms of how do you motivate people, how do you bring people together, how do you develop a common vision, how do you develop a structure, how do you develop a learning organization. And it was just a wonderful opportunity to be able to bring people together from around the world and understand the science and the art around leadership. The whole movement started off with 6 people on the west side of Denver, and then it grew like an acorn into a huge oak tree into, after about 12 years of organizing, the only piece of legislation in the world that helped guarantee and assure the rights of persons with disabilities. And my role specifically was to help train and develop the leaders before the meetings, before the actions, before the demonstrations. It still is the only piece of civil rights legislation that we have in the United States since the civil rights legislation with African Americans in the 60s. A lot of the process for me of mentoring is to develop relationships with people and then turning the relationships into partnerships by building trust, by building confidence, by listening to them and not necessarily telling them what to do, but pulling out the answers that they already have, by encouraging them to take risks, by encouraging them to stretch. So maybe there is no end to this. Maybe that my role and whatever legacy that I would bring is to really pass it down to other people. is to be able to create opportunities and situations like were created for me to have the opportunity to do that with others. So the end is not an end, but it's a continuation of how you develop people, how you change societies, how you make an impact so that when you pass on to whatever you pass on to, there's a legacy behind you and there's a road ahead in order to make our world a slightly better place.